What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Tuesday Track Talk featuring your Three Stones Pit Crew, episode number 29. I am your tire changer, Cam.
I'm your jack man, Kellen.
And I'm your gas man, Cam.
And better sit back and relax because we got another great episode on our hands here. We're going to talk a little bit of dirt racing. One of the crew guys actually got out to the track this weekend, boots on the ground. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Talking about a little bit of Cars Tour at Hickory. Talk about the Cup race at Martinsville. And as the season starts getting going, we're talking about a little bit of Racetrack's do's and don'ts as well. Just from our own experiences and kind of talk about things to do at the racetrack, and then race previews, fantasy recap, and some race picks. So yeah, a lot of things to talk about, and a lot of things to talk about. So what's going on, fellas, since the last time we reconvened?
Is it Saturday yet?
Yeah, I'm excited. I obviously kind of hinted at one of the guys got to the track, but we'll have a lot of guys or a couple more guys here at the track this weekend. It's gonna be great. We'll talk about that a little bit too.
Big one.
Yeah,
Huge one.
I looked at the weather, or at least I was looking at the weather for this weekend too. It's gonna look pretty good.
Yeah, I'm just got the hours counting down till Saturday morning.
Yep, I got the days and hours going for mine too. I'm at 4 days, 14 hours, and 30 minutes.
Sweet.
So
Cam?
Not a whole lot. Big solar eclipse today.
Oh yeah.
That,
missed it.
Us in Wisconsin didn't get to witness. So
I'm about to say
Right.
I completely forgot about it. Got caught up in that damned old work and just oh shit, it happened.
Yep.
Didn't miss much.
New.
But no, ready to talk some racing.
Heck yeah.
No shortage of storylines the past week from on track and off track. So let's get right into it.
Well, let's talk about a little bit of that off track stuff here. One of the things that we kind of want to touch on maybe real quick was State Park Speedway. So you hear a lot of news about racetracks, going under, kind of in the point of sale, and State Park Speedway is kind of in that limbo stage right now. Obviously, one of the tracks up by us. The Wimmers announced that this will be their last year of overseeing that racetrack. So obviously looking to go out of the bang. I know that's one of the closest tracks for you guys that have made a few trips over there. Obviously, I myself has also made a few trips over there. So obviously we're all kind of curious as far as what the future will be for State Park Speedway, and we hope it's not one of those tracks that goes defunct either.
Yeah. That we really don't speculation of what's gonna go on. We don't know for certain at the moment, but you can hope that it stays running weekly, but just kind of in a state of limbo right now.
Yeah.
So
And I don't want to say be pessimistic, but the initial reports are there's no plans further for it. Nobody lined up to take it over to continue the operation. So, like you said, in a state of limbo and state of hope and prayer that it doesn't go down. So, but if you need another reason to support your local short track, there's another one. And I read one of the other things too is that, which I myself am guilty of. You probably just don't understand what all goes into running a racetrack. The amount of people, organizing, safety. I mean, it's a lot. So kudos to anybody that can do it. But yeah, hopefully we find somebody. I know we were even throwing around the ideas of maybe getting the old Three Stones involved in
yeah. We're missing one big piece of that, and that was what they would consider money.
Yes.
But no worries. We're already debating if we're going to keep it asphalt or go to dirt. Those plans are in the works. just lacking the financial backing. So, but no, it is
If
does
you're
suck.
trying to go on a racetrack, hit us up.
Yeah, for real.
Hell, if you just own it, we'll promote it. We'll do everything else.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
No, like you guys said, it is unfortunate. It's tough. We've all been there. It's a nice little racetrack. Bleachers,
Background's great too, with right at the base of Rib Mountain.
yeah, bleachers could use a little work, but hey, you ain't at the racetrack without some sketchy wood bleachers. So
Got that right. No, so that was just a topic that came up this week. Otherwise, like I mentioned before, one of the crew guys, I myself, was actually boots on the ground this weekend as Cedar Lake Speedway had their season opener for weekly racing this weekend. It was kind of not a last minute deal, but it was a quick decision for me to make that trip over. I decided on Thursday that I was going to head over on Saturday, and weather held out, and there was actually some pretty good racing, and there was a good amount of cars. They had 6 classes there. Um, Track was really good. It had a lot of character to it. 3 and 4, right at the bottom, there's a nice big rut that if you played your cards right, you can get that right rear into there and just kind of ride it around. Otherwise, it bit a lot of guys too. Some guys that would hit that wrong and just crock them sideways and lost all the momentum. And no, it made for some good racing. Guys were running up on top. I sent you guys a lot of clips of like 1 and 2. Them guys just spread out all over the place throughout the
Yeah.
racing there too.
That place, Cedar Lake, tends to produce that,
Yep.
and it's awesome.
Yeah. So
So
no, it was just nice to get back out and about. Good crowd. It got a little chilly there towards the end of the races. Wind was a factor there too, but we were sitting on the backstretch, and one of the guys I was sitting with actually brought a tarp with him, so it blocked the wind from our back. So we were sitting pretty good. Um, No, overall great racing. Sammy Mars was there. He ended up winning the feature for the Cedar Lake late models. Almost gave it up. He rode the bottom for the last handful of laps and almost got bit by a guy riding up on the high side. But Sammy Mars held on, and kind of a good momentum start for him this year.
first year in um, the Pop's house car, and that yellow 28
Yep.
that Dustin Sorensen ran last year. So only figured it was a matter of time before kid steps into Pop's ride. But no, he's had a solid start. Ran some races early. I think did he run the Wild West shootout or
he did. Yep.
Yeah.
and ran decent down there. So yeah, always excited to see the old MB Customs 28 out and about, and
Yep.
Jimmy and his son. So no,
Couple of favorites for you guys. They had modifieds and B mods there as well.
Yep.
The street stocks or the super stocks actually is what they call them. They put on a hell of a show too. So
Yeah. They again, that place just produces collectively.
yep,
So,
for sure. So no, it was just nice to get back out and about, get the smell of racing burnt race fuel going again, and it will lead up to this coming weekend as well, which we'll touch on here in a little bit. So otherwise, World Outlaws were also in action this weekend. They had a doubleheader. Racing Friday and Saturday. First at US 36 Speedway with David Gravel taking the win on that one, spoiling the party of becoming the first 2-time winner on the year. After Honshield spun himself out from the lead after fighting with a lapper who he would have been probably at that rate 4 for 4 at US 36 Speedway this year.
yeah.
no, I believe it was Chris Wyndham in the 55.
I believe so, yeah.
And that it's another NOS car. They're not teammates, are they?
No.
No.
They're both NOS sponsored cars. I saw that I believe it was Chris Wyndham was running the bottom, and Honshield tried to stick his nose in there and spun himself around. So
Yep.
yeah, and that's ironic after last week we talked about I don't know if it's last week or 2 weeks ago, one of these guys, Hodenshield, where it only takes one win for these guys to get some serious confidence and
Start clicking them off.
yep, and then away they go. So
I'm looking back at the highlight here, trying to find who he hit. Yeah, it was the 55 at Wyndham.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Gravel saw a chance. He swooped in, and it was game over from there.
He was running them down as it was, so it was going to be a
Yeah.
Hodenshield and gravel race, and
Yep.
again, Gravel just took advantage of it and took off from there. So Gravel won night one at US 36, and then as you move on to the Jason Johnson Classic, obviously a race that everybody wants to win for the man that's the namesake of that race. Obviously, just one of the nicest guys that anybody could meet, so everybody wants to win. Ended up being a Hodenshield and Gravel race again, as them two were fighting out for it. Hodenshield took the lead halfway through the race, beating Gio Selzy for the lead. And then Jacob Allen and Gio Selzy got together a little bit, and there was a little bit of a social media beef as well. Not a beef, but a little spat between the two of them as well. So made for some good fun, but no, that took Jacob Allen out of it. And then, like I said, Hodenshield held off Gravel there on the last lap to end up taking the victory out of that. So basically, the two guys that were the strongest cars were top of the class this weekend.
All right, it's good to see Hodenshield back up there again. You know,
Yep.
but I always like to see him run.
and
That's see him back competitive.
Yep.
another, hopefully he can get out of his funk a little bit, but tough stretch here for Gio Selzy. Was that last weekend when he wrecked, and then another tough break here. So somebody who's got a slick paint scheme, he can get it done, but it's been on a tough stretch here, tearing stuff up. So hopefully he gets it right, and another guy that on any given night can show up and compete for a win.
Yep.
I'm just looking at the results here, seeing who else kind of had a good weekend. I know Buddy Colfoyd was up there fighting for a little bit. Yeah, obviously he's in the points battle there for the World Outlaws. Rico Aber was there as well. Donnie Schatz had a second place on night one and then an 11th on night two. Tyler Courtney was there as well. Brian Brown had a halfway decent weekend. Yeah, Tyler Courtney was there. So, no, obviously everybody's keeping an eye on that, and finally had a couple old Outlaw guys take a couple wins too. I know, I think it was Rico that was saying that the high limit guys were taking a few wins from the regulars.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
So, no, real quick one. I did end up missing Saturday, so I had to watch some quick highlights on it just because obviously I was at Cedar Lakes. So, otherwise, any final thoughts here with the World Outlaws or any other dirt racing before we switch surfaces?
No, good racing.
No, and yeah, good hard racing. And like you said, I feel like this dirt race right now is a little bit of a tease. We're not quite in the full swing of things. They give you a little tease here and there, a couple shows. But excited for those guys to get into the full swing of things here coming up once the weather gets nice, and then it's going to be pedal to the floorboard, 3-day shows every weekend. So no, looking forward to it.
Cool. So let's switch surfaces then, and we'll head over to the Cars Tour at Hickory Motor Speedway. Hickory, obviously a great racetrack. It's one of the more prestigious tracks, especially out east and south there. They're racing this weekend, first of two races that they'll have for the Cars Tour. Kellen, I know you were watching a lot of that. Again, I was at Cedar Lake, so I didn't get to see any of it, but I think you had some thoughts you wanted to talk about from that race as well, or it's just some brief highlights.
Yeah, a couple big storylines coming out of that one. Mini Tyrell having mechanical issues early, but found his way back into the race. Connor Jones gets turned in 4. He was shook up getting out of the car. Had a little limp, he kind of regathered himself, and then I think he found a little adrenaline when he decided that he was going to run along the fence and have a few words for the 90, I believe it was 95 who turned him around. Yeah, he wasn't limping when he was running along the fence along the backstretch, trying to get there to, while he was still in the car, he was going to have a few choice words with him from the infield.
Yikes.
So I mean, yeah, he gets turned around. And then kind of an interesting one. You don't see this one too often, but with 87 to go, just with what had gone on, that they actually brought the cars down under control caution to put fuel in. So
Hmm.
you don't see that too often. They were concerned about the fuel making it the distance. So actually, for the control caution, they ended up bringing them down and letting the guys put fuel in the cars there. And then at the end of the day, it was Zillage and Queen were going to be the two that were going to basically duke it out to the end. So all of a sudden it was Zillage. You knew he was in the race. But it was all of a sudden when it started to get late in the race, he just, when you gave him the green light to go, it was go time, and he found his way to the front, and it was fast. So, basically charged his way to the front, and once he got to the lead, it was that was the end of it. So, yeah, it was a really good race. Like I said, a couple different storylines with Tyrell going out early, or going a couple laps down early, and ended up making his way back through, getting laps back, and obviously Connor Jones getting turned around. So, yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, this kid's been doing it now. He did it in the trucks with the track record at Coda in qualifying, and he hops in this thing, and it's hello Connor Zillage. So, welcome to the big scene.
Yeah, he's definitely keeping himself in the storylines
Yeah.
or in the conversation whenever he hops in the car, whether it is on the road course or like obviously he was in the trucks at Circuit of the Americas, is running that Cars tour as well. He, like I said, he's just keeping his name in there. I'm trying to find out because obviously the big story coming into it as well was Cars Quaffle not racing in the Cars tour because of his Xfinity debut. And Mason Diaz was jumping into that car and just did not have a good showing. Not a good showing, but just had some issues in that race as well.
I want to say it was P11.
Oh, I got it up.
About to say, hey, I got P24 on my end.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm just trying to find, like, I'm going through Junior Motorsports right now. I'm just trying to find out what happened with that car.
Yeah, it was P24.
Yeah, they struggled. But
Two people I want to point out, obviously well known on the scene, but Butterbean Queen, somebody who didn't have the start to the year that he was probably hoping or expecting. Good solid run for him, and obviously for him and his team, hopefully this is the start of what they hope to be some consistent and more solid runs. Because I'd say this is what we expect from the old Butterbean. And then somebody else we talked about, who's working his tail off, and he put something out on social media I was just reading interesting about, was Landon Hoffman. Talked about him is either last week or 2 weeks ago, but bringing it home P15, and then just an interesting read on his social media about what his team's going through and the volunteers, and nobody's full time and not reaching expectations, and but just belief that they're gonna figure it out. So yeah, Landon still hasn't quite had the run that anybody's expected, but
he'll figure it out.
he will. And yeah, I was gonna say, well, it doesn't sound like these runs are due to lack of effort. So somebody who knows these cars in and out, they'll figure it out.
Absolutely.
Another one I'll point out real quick, and I want to hop to the pro late model side of things. Kyle Campbell, he goes 2 for 2 on the year as well. And just dominates that race as well. So he's showing early that he is going to be a title contender in that pro late model series.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if we touch on it, but old Gio Ruggiero right away.
Oh yeah, that car
we
shot
said-
the axle. That car shot the axle out of the rear end.
Yeah,
Yeesh.
right away when you saw him putting around the bottom of the track.
He didn't even make it to the green flag.
Yeah,
He must. I don't know if it was war, and it spit that axle right out of the rear end, right on the racetrack. And he stopped, and when he stopped, it must have slid. It fell out, made it all the way around to that spot again, but they pushed him way in that axle lead there. So they were going to put another one in, but I think when they looked at it,
Probably tore something else up. That
they were wondering if maybe there was some issues with the splines in that axle that they were nervous about sticking another in because they had three of them laying there when they pushed them in. They had three of them in there, and they were going to try to stick them in there and go back out. But tough break to shoot an axle out of that thing before you even get to the green flag. So
another name that's absent from this list, Stephen Askey.
yep,
Whether he just didn't make the showing down there or what happened, but he's not on the list as well.
yep. That he wasn't even on site.
Oh, sure.
So not sure what the strategy was there, but yeah, he was not even on site. So yeah,
Otherwise, hitting on the top 10 here real quick. Connor Zilch obviously won with Brandon Butterbean Queen second, Chad McCumbee third, Connor Hall fourth, your boy Cam, Minnie Tyrell fifth, Bobby McCarty sixth, Cade Brown seventh, Ryan Middleton eighth, Brent Cruz again, just kind of slowly keeping himself in the conversation. P9 and Trayton Lapovich was 10th.
yep,
So again,
absolutely.
just good, another good bit of racing. No big storylines, controversial storylines, just say coming out of it. But no, that'll be good to keep an eye out on. And obviously, as Carson comes back, see if he can make his way back up in the point standings after missing out on this race as well.
Yeah, you can catch all of the cars tour on Flow.
Yep.
Yep,
We
all
preach
the stuff on
flow a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're looking to follow them, Flow Racing is your one-stop shop for cars tour racing.
For sure.
and while we're talking about it, we might as well just give another quick shout out to Quaffle in that 88 car.
Yeah.
It's 2 weeks in a row that somebody from the late model scene has stepped into the Junior Motorsports 88, and I think that thing might have rocket fuel or something in it. But
Easy.
Easy. Either way, an absolute solid run in a wild Xfinity race there at the end. But it's just fantastic for grassroots racing that these guys can get these opportunities and not only get these opportunities, but execute them. These guys are running well and showing out. So obviously they're not in middle of the pack equipment. They're in top-notch equipment. But that's only half the equation. These guys that are coming from the late model scene, Bubba and Quapple, parking it up front.
Junior Motorsports as a whole had a good week, and they got 4 guys in the top 10. Again, Koffel was almost the top running Junior Motorsports car, but Sam Mayer beat him out for a second. So no, it's good, cool to see the late model guys come in and win races.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or not win races, but run good, I should say.
The lighting. Did anybody else? You guys didn't want to tell me I looked like an orange?
Oh, I guess I never noticed.
I wasn't even paying attention. I looked at myself. I'm like, wow, do I look miserable?
I didn't notice.
Look like somebody from the Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about Martinsville a little bit with Xfinity. Should we switch topics and head on some Martinsville racing?
Absolutely.
There's a few things that I think came out of that, and then some off-track stuff before we came into Martinsville. But let's stick with the on-track stuff here for a hot minute here. pretty long drawn out race. Don't get me wrong. There were a lot of long green flag runs out of it, so it was a lot of track position and trying to get it. Larson ends up winning stage one after Logano did a two tire change and stayed out and tried to ride that wave, but ultimately fell back. But Bubba backed off of Larson there at the end as well. He was coming on and didn't
Yeah.
need a that whole deal to rear its end again. So
Yeah. But
No, I mean that was Bubba's, after last week, spinning them at Richmond. You thought the karma would have stopped there on the restart and the way Larson finished and Bubba, but it just continues to bite Bubba. Obviously, the wild qualifying efforts from Larson and Bubba there, but then, yeah, it was just a wild stage. I mean, Bubba was coming hard, knifing his way through traffic, got to the inside of him, and then like on the last lap, it was like, I don't know if he used the stuff up or what, but he just was like, all of a sudden, he was like 3 car lengths back after being on the inside of him. So, um, definitely interesting. And I would say somebody who's definitely, I wouldn't say surpassing expectations, but Bubba Wallace has been Mr. Consistent to start the year. Doesn't matter where they've
yes.
showed up, but that team has been up front, competing for getting stage points and competing for wins. So, yeah, that 23 car is running up front. And as his spotter Freddie would say, sometimes if you just run up front, a win will find you. So,
Yep.
not be
100%.
one bit surprised if Bubba gets a win here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, so as we move on to stage two here, Hamlin ends up winning stage two. Uh, Again, just another long green flag run there. Didn't have any green flag stops, so again, it was all just based on track position and if guys were able to pick them off. I'm just trying to read through the highlights here, but there was again just kind of long drawn out. Um, and as guys were beating their tires up, they're falling back. Otherwise, moving into stage three again, really you had those green flag pit stops and Byron coming in early probably was what won him the race as he was able to get that track position and then hold off on it, obviously up until that final restart.
yeah, that was so they were talking about that during the race. That was kind of a, do you come early? Do you run long? I guess they were in the booth. They were kind of hesitant to have you come early. You don't want. They were kind of like, I don't know if you want to be the first one or not. Well, turns out you did. Now, in that equation, that also comes down to getting on pit road well
Yep.
and having a good pit crew that is going to get you out in a timely fashion where there's a few other pieces to that equation with those two things. But when you've got a group like that with William behind the wheel and then a pit crew that's going to have you in and out and you don't have any concerns, I mean, you got the utmost confidence to grab the reins of the race and just call the shots and make everyone follow your suit, you know?
And especially when Rudy Frugal and Byron have 2 wins under their belt already.
They got nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to be doing this the entire year.
Yep.
What's everybody else going to do? We'll do the opposite. And hey, if it works out, it's another win and more playoff points under our belt. If it doesn't work out, hey, we're locked in. We're top of the points board already anyway. So no, this is going to be a theme throughout the rest of the year, up until playoff time for that 24 team. And yeah, like you said, Kel, the commentators were pretty, Harvick and Joy and Boy were pretty. I made it feel like they were. You didn't want to be the first one that you'd be the only one to come and everybody would run and then all of a sudden a caution comes and then you get trapped a lap down. But once Byron came and he was the first one, nobody seemed to mess around. Everybody followed suit. So
And I think
Yep.
that Hendrick camp, it was going to be one of the Hendrick cars that were going to come first. And
Oh,
once the first one came, literally Larson and Elliott, I think, were the next two to follow
yep.
with Hamlin and Maybe it was even Bubba at that point that followed suit, but
I think it was Bubba because Hamlin was in the lead, I think, at that point.
because
I think he stayed
David
out.
said Hamlin ran one lap. What did he run? One lap longer, and that was literally the difference in the race.
Well, he also, so even he admitted too that Hamlin wasn't coming in good. He was losing a lot of time on pit road, and then he didn't have a great pit stop either, I think.
Correct.
So that hurt him as well. Ultimately, though, there was that one clip that they showed that the top five, what was going to be the top five, were all right there with each other after that pit cycle.
Absolutely. So no,
but,
I mean, again, it just goes back to the 24 team having nothing to lose.
Yep.
Let's let it rip and see what happens.
Yep. And obviously, like we were saying, track position and those green flag pit stops ended up being crucial. Damn near almost had that long green flag run up until John Hunter Nemechek blew his brakes out, which, you didn't see any of that, which is probably good for the package, but an odd circumstance in its own right. And of course, that's with 2 to go. So now you got that worrisome restart of do you pit? Do you not? What's your lane choice? Or you can start seeing fenders being used. And ultimately, Hamlin made the mistake, or, Gabe Hart maybe made the mistake coming down. And you didn't see a whole lot of fenders get used there on that final restart. Maybe not up front, but definitely in the mid pack.
Yeah, I mean, there was really only one point when Elliott kind of gave Byron one shot, but it wasn't egregious.
Yep.
And he may have gotten, I didn't notice, he may have gotten a little help from behind, but it was enough to know he was there. But Elliott also knew he was racing his teammate.
Yep.
So he made sure that he made it known that he was there, that if he missed the corner, he was going to have it. But it was also the courtesy of you're racing your teammate, and you may race somebody else a little differently than you race your Hendrick teammate to win the race for Hendrick's 40th anniversary. So
somebody's got to bring it home.
It may have played out a little bit different, say Denny Hamlin's on that front row.
Yeah.
I will say one thing. I was pleasantly surprised that you'd think at Martinsville lane choice, if you're, that front, 6 cars or so that, something goes wrong, you're in a spot to win it. I was pleasantly surprised that on those restarts, even in the Xfinity race, how well the outside lane was able to hold their own. And even on a couple of those restarts, the outside lane took the lead. And was able to, I think Chase Elliott did it once, and forget whoever. I mean, Almirola did it in the Xfinity race, but was pleasantly surprised with that because typically it's Martinsville. Hey, get around the bottom
track,
wrap the curb and run from the wolves. But that outside lane on the restarts at least was a shot where you could pick off 1 or 2 cars and then get to the bottom and settle in.
Well, so my thought with that is, like, you saw, I think we all saw how well rubbered in the turns were. I just wonder if that streak was just high enough up where that guy in that outside lane could get his left sides to hook on that rubber and just pinch that driver down and just shoot once he got off.
Well, especially coming off. I mean, you can pinch that inside line where they have to wait so long to get back to the throttle, where the outside you can pick up the throttle a little bit sooner to get that run, that even though they got the inside line, you can still carry a little more speed on the outside.
Because even the guys that were running kind of on their own, they were maybe running up, I don't know, maybe a tire or 2 width higher off the curb just to try and get some of that grip too.
Right.
So I bet you that had something to do with it. But otherwise, obviously you had that last restart, and ultimately Hendrick comes away with a 1-2-3 finish with William Byron winning it. Surprisingly enough, that's the first time that any team has had a 1-2-3 finish at Martinsville, yet alone from a Hendrick camp that always runs very good there.
Yeah. Pretty cool deal though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And Bowman in 8th, so not that far out of it.
No. Could you imagine though if they would have gotten the 1 through 4? Oh my!
They had 1,500. 1,500.
Yeah, 1,500.
Hendrick employees on site today for that race. I mean, it was honestly, it was super cool to see Byron. We went down and he had put on a little show for the fans after
Yep.
the Hendrick camp after he won the race. Just a little piece of gratitude, I would say.
Almost wrecked the car too, burning her out.
Yeah. Little nose tap there on the wall.
Yep. But
But
one of the big topics that came out of this though was the short track package. And I think we're seeing a lot of that discussion from, other podcasts, especially from like Jeff Glock on the Teardown and the guys on Door Bumper Clear that, okay, we've had enough short track races now this year that it has to be discussed. And it's kind of one of those that's maybe not living up to what we were hoping it was going to be this year.
yeah.
And
I mean,
it's comes down to what can be done. And I guess it's just, I think there's one topic that comes up, but I'll kind of leave it to you guys. What do you think about the package?
I liked Bristol. Let's leave Bristol alone.
We obviously with the tire fall off, yes, but
Yeah, leave that alone. I don't know. Do you put more horsepower back in these cars? That's what the drivers want. Give
it
it
all
back
comes down to the money though, too.
right. Let's give it 1 week and let's let the drivers see what they want. If you're wrong, they can say, I guess I told you so. I don't know. The package isn't terrible.
You got to
No.
test it at least.
Correct. You got to test it, but we're in the ballpark. We're not hitting home runs by but we're sitting in the nosebleeds right now with this package. Like we're there somewhere, but we got to dial in what
we're just not adjusting the right thing.
That's why I think in the horsepower thing here is the option. Let's let them have it. Let's see what happens. If you're wrong, I told you so. Now we know.
Because it's also got something to say too that the trucks qualified faster than what the Cup Series did.
Yep.
And there's also, like, I saw this stat too from Auto Racing Analytics, which I'm going to probably be referencing them a lot. They did who am I looking up? This is who I'm looking up. They did a stat where if they took the medium lap times run for the last 50 laps. So it had the last 50 laps in the Cup race been based on fourth quarter median lap speed, the top 15 would have roughly finished from the start finish line to turn 4. Everyone was going the same speed is what they were saying based on the stats.
Not a lot of passing.
Yep.
And I think, like you guys said, we're consistently hitting singles right now. It's okay. It's consistent, but like you said, we're not knocking it out of the park. And I just saw a brief clip of Denny, in his talk. Obviously, they made the call to pit late there and put on some tires, and hopefully they thought they'd bring a couple more cars down and then they'd be able to have a shot at the win. But obviously ends up he's about the only one that comes down, and he was just pissed because he just said he's like, we had 4 tires. He was chasing Austin Cindric, who was a lap or 2 down, and he couldn't even get to him to give him the bumper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if that's the type of racing we're dealing with, like, we're going to be getting away from old-fashioned Martinsville here pretty quick, because a lot of times, Martinsville is supposed to be coming to the last lap. Guys are getting out the old chrome horn and giving people a bump and run, and you give it to him in 1 and 2, and he gives it right back in 3 and 4 for the win. End up with a little bit of smashed up race cars. But we don't even have the opportunity for that right now. These guys are saying you can't pass, can't get to somebody to give them the bumper, can't do anything. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think we can say anything that's not being said in the media by drivers. The polls in NASCAR's court. Come on, grab the ball and shoot it. Do something.
Jeff Gluck's poll Was a good race poll. Currently, with about 12 hours left as of now, at 26,000 votes, 68% say no.
Felt so bad for the reviews. I just voted yes.
Well, so like if you voted yes, you're probably a Hendrick fan, or you enjoyed Hamlin not winning, or you really probably enjoyed it for the green flag pit stop strategy.
Yeah, those are really your variables. Absolutely. I would
I think those
100%
were your
agree with
three
that.
variables.
Yeah, for sure.
So, no, otherwise, well, obviously there'll be a lot of discussion coming out of this. We're heading to Texas next week, so we should get a pretty good race out of that. But any other thoughts on Martinsville before we maybe hit on some off-track stuff that happened earlier in the week briefly?
No, I enjoyed the race. A lot of people had mixed bag on it, but I I enjoyed it. I like Martinsville, so I like the
Enjoyed
strategy
it.
side of it. Again, another track where you can make strategy calls to see if you're gonna give yourself an advantage or disadvantage. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it as well. Quick hitter through these first couple, I don't know, what are we? Was that 7 or 8 races throughout the year? How many total races have we had?
That was race number 8.
So through the first 8 races, about a quarter of the way through the regular season, on a scale of 1 to 10, how you guys rating the season, the racing? 10, can't get any better. 1, borderline shutting it off every week.
I'd give it an 8. I think
I
you
was
had
gonna
a
go
lot of good
7.8.
races.
Yeah,
Yeah, I give it an 8. I think each race had something that came out of it. But it's definitely not up to par to like what the first 3 races were. Like you started out hot
Well, I mean,
at the beginning of the year.
if you're for any casual NASCAR fans, we're sorry, but those first 3 races of the year, you're not going to get that every week.
Texas,
Unfortunately.
Texas, I think will be a good bounce back race.
Yep. Big open track, multiple grooves. But I was
I
gonna say,
think
I was with Kellen. I would say I'm about a 7, 7.5. It's been
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I can't complain. I would say the only issue would be for us, like I've actually enjoyed it because I feel like this year there's a lot more strategy involved.
Yep.
Um, but to a commoner who's just watching and watching for the first time because they watched the Netflix, yeah, the last couple weeks has probably been difficult for them when you don't fully understand the strategy and what's going on. So sorry, I throw that quick question out there.
I will say this, at least we still don't know who's going to win every week.
Correct.
True.
We got that advantage.
Let's talk about some off-track stuff with NASCAR. I think we have to talk about it. The Denny Hamlin Marcus Smith spat on Twitter.
Hey,
So those that
hello,
don't know
best
Marcus Smith,
friends.
he is the president of Speedway Motorsports. He's they're the owners of tracks like Charlotte, Bristol, Nashville, the
Yeah,
kind of like that conglomerate of tracks. He's the president of that. And obviously in charge of or overseeing the repave of God damn it, I'm blanking now.
Sonoma.
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 Yep, Sonoma. And Hamlin saw what happened at that current repave and gave his thoughts, and Marcus also gave his thoughts. So I'll just leave it to you guys. What was your thoughts on that whole discussion?
Shit got feisty and then everyone deleted their tweets.
I will say one thing. I've
That's what
enjoyed
it comes down
Denny's.
to.
I after the Netflix documentary or docuseries, I've actually enjoyed Denny's personality. Always says what's on
I
his
think he's
mind.
building off of it.
Yeah, no, he says what's on his mind. He sticks to his guns. He doesn't back down. That's who he is. That's why people love him or they hate him. There is no in between. Well, I guess there is because I'm lukewarm on him. But no, things got personal real quick. And anytime things get personal and you're
Yeesh.
talking about don't screw up a business your dad gave you and handed you, and
The others
Marcus
talking
fired
about no
Marcus is,
championships
yeah,
and
he's firing back about if you want to be
oh
let down, be a Denny fan and good luck on your quest for championship. But no, obviously Marcus deleted everything and then came back with an apology and said, it's not professional me. And Denny chimed in and said, I'll co-sign this and say I had my fair share and shouldn't have, made it personal so quick and, whatever. So valid concern from Denny. Obviously, what is going on with the repaves is initial feedback is not great.
yeah.
But we don't need to get personal so quick.
And especially
Jesus.
for a track that everybody's going to have their eyes out on as later in the year and hoping that it gets on the schedule and what kind of racing it'll produce afterwards too.
Correct.
So no, I don't think it was a great look for either individual. Again, when you get personal, that's when things start going real bad. If it stays racing, you can usually get away with it, but once you get to that personal side, that's when it becomes an issue. So
Yeah.
again, at least everybody admitted to their mistakes. I think everybody's moving on, but obviously it brought up some things that we didn't necessarily want to see.
Nor did
Yep.
any of us have that on our bingo cards.
Nope.
Especially when we wake up on whatever morning it was, we're just like, wow, this happened last night while we were asleep.
Yep. About midnight. Yeah.
So
Wild.
no, I felt like we just had to touch on that for a hot minute just because it was such a topic. So
Yep.
any other thoughts with racing that happened this weekend before we kind of move on to our actually a featured topic that we have for this week?
I'm excited for this one.
No, let's get to the featured topic.
So obviously we did a lot of off-season topics and talked about various things, and we kind of got off of it just because of all the racing that was going on. Just because we are going to be starting our weekly racing here pretty soon, we figured we'd do a racetrack do's and don'ts. So if we talk about going to your local short track all the time. If you are going, maybe you've picked up on a few of these things. If you're thinking about going, hey, maybe we can give you some insight as far as things that we do when we go out to the racetrack. We'll just kind of run through this list. And so the first one is really just the bare essentials. What do you need and what do you have to do at the racetrack? Um, First one here, blanket and cash. Cash
That's
money to get in and blanket to sit on.
that's what gets you in the door.
And I will say some of these spring races or the fall races, don't underestimate Mother Nature. Because a
Yes.
lot of times, like you step out your apartment, and you're like, oh, it's not very windy out here, as you're surrounded by your apartment building and a garage complex in a woods. And then you get to the racetrack where there's not a tree in sight and that wind just cuts. So don't underestimate Mother Nature here in the early and late season. In the spring and fall, just take a blanket with you.
I
Um,
learned I did learn firsthand, but I am to add to that. So I had just a sweatshirt on, pair of jeans, my boots when I was at the track. And like I said, we had the tarp on behind us, so we were blocking the wind. And as soon as that tarp came down and the sun went down, she dropped about 15 degrees.
so to go to your point the other way, Cam. So he said prepare for the cold. Can we revisit the Joe Shear from last year when it's 95 degrees and the sun is beating down
Oh
and
man.
you literally are sitting there and you could hold your hands up like this and you could see the sweat drip from your hands and everyone was literally burnt the color of the door panel.
Yes.
Um,
Yikes.
don't be afraid to throw a bottle of sunscreen and a towel in your bag too, because it could be cold some nights, but it can be hotter than living hell some
There's
days.
there's no benefit in trying to be the tough guy when it's a sunny day like that.
Oh no. Uh-uh.
Wow.
That honestly
That
was
was hot.
it was awful. The burn was awful. Yeah.
So yes,
So elements. Check your local weather app on your telephone.
yes. Um, Another thing, obviously, we talked about cash money. Just because not everything runs off a card, still bring that cash money with you for at the ticket gate for the food. Souvenirs if you want to bring something home with you. That's going to be a big thing to have just a little bit of extra cash money. Obviously for the kids too, if they want to play games or something like that while they're there.
Mhm.
Another thing, and this again kind of goes especially for the kids or especially children that you're bringing with you, earplugs or earmuffs, depending on where you're sitting at the track, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But race cars allowed by nature.
Yep.
And if you're not attuned to that type of thing, earplugs and earmuffs are your best friend. And that's where the cash money comes into play too. Usually earplugs are like $1 at the concession stand.
Yep. Yeah, you can walk up to a souvenir trailer too. $1 a piece.
Yep. If you
Get
got
get
if you
you a
got the
set
baby
in.
with you.
Yeah, this is another one of our Joe Shear adventures. No, I'm only gonna buy one set. Okay, don't lose one. We got to halfway and somebody goes, "Hey, do you have that extra set of earplugs? I lost one." Yep, I
Sure
do.
do. Here you go.
Yeah, yeah.
And I will say the other thing is, for your safety and well-being years down the road, don't be Mr. Tough Guy and think that you can handle it.
Yep.
Because 20 years from now, when you're going to the racetrack and your hearing's gone, there's no prize for being a tough guy and not wearing earplugs. I will say I was mind boggled last year when we got to Cedar Lake and the heat races. Even when they got out for hot laps, I'm like, shit, I need to put earmuffs in. And Kellen's sitting there watching a heat race with no earplugs in. I'm like,
Oh, I had him in right away.
yeah. First car on the track comes rolling by and they wind it up for the 3 hot laps. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get these in immediately.
Yep.
Kellen's sitting there watching a heat with no earplugs in. I'm like,
It was
look,
just one. Just one.
Just to
yeah,
tell you what it was like, we had the big container of them, and we went through a good amount of earplugs that weekend.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But no, just for your safety and
Yes.
thinking for your future self, there's
yeah.
wear earplugs, earmuffs, something.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
no
kind of
prize for being a tough.
kind of going on that point, if you are going to a dirt track, this kind of goes with that same too, kind of as an essential is a pair of glasses, whether they be dark during the day or clear during the night. When some of those dirt tracks, when they're dry or they dust up or you're sitting close enough,
You can get covered.
being able to have your vision is a good thing.
Yes.
So don't be afraid to take a pair of, whether it's you have a pair of for your glasses that are set for your eyes that you need, or a pair of just
Prescription
safety
glasses.
glasses, prescriptions, or whatever you need. So when you go to a dirt track, depending on how close you sit, it can be, and you never know, there might be a rock in the track. You just don't know. Just
The wind blows a certain way.
yeah.
Yep.
The dirt scene can be it can be dirty. It literally can be dirty. So don't be afraid to put a pair of glasses on and go, all right, we're watching through the glasses today. Every once in a while, you got to dust them up.
Another one, and this is again depends on where you sit. Maybe something to cover your mouth.
Yeah.
Just because the dirt could be flying constantly, you just don't want to be trying to breathe any of that in. That can go a long way. Yep, that can go a long ways as well. So again,
You're sitting there,
yep,
getting the dirt out of your teeth.
yeah, you don't need to be sitting there like this the entire time either.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
yeah, the dirt you may need a two little essentials that you may need to take with
And
you.
an N95 mask would be perfect.
yep.
God.
Touching back on the blanket side of things, the blanket just comes in handy just because you don't know if you're sitting on metal bleachers, wooden bleachers, anything like that. It comes in handy. It's a
Yep.
nice little cushion. So,
And if you
um,
want to be a little bit extra, most places potentially have a spot where you can sit in a lawn chair.
yep, yep.
Cedar
Or
Lake
if
does, the Dells do, Madison does. There most times there might even be a shelf right in the bleachers that you can go ahead and set your chair in the bleachers.
yep,
I know Madison does. I know the Dells in certain spots do.
Correct.
But if you want to be a little extra, you want to carry a lawn chair around, then you're
If
just
you have
then you're just at the will of being a little bit extra.
if you have a bleacher seat
Yep.
from other sporting events, bring it with you.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
Save your butt cheeks a little bit.
yes, absolutely. Enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah.
Some extras to go with that though, and again, this is maybe for the more experienced fan or one that's kind of want to get the full experience out of it. Race monitor or my I believe it's MyLapse. Let me check here quick. My race pass.
Yep.
Those are gonna be the ones that's gonna help you with the lap timing if you kind of want to see it there. Otherwise, like I've always done, and you guys will probably start doing this year, the scanner and the headset.
Mm-hmm.
So you can listen in on to some of them. The note of word for that, it is uncensored. And it can be very uncensored at some points.
Yes. That would be for the asphalt. Dirt does not have that unless you want to listen to officials, which you very, very rarely do you even ever want to at a dirt race. I mean, there's
Yeah.
not much going on. The green flag ground, they're not really talking to the drivers.
Some tracks have the option where the PA system is on a radio frequency.
Yep.
So you can maybe do that just to hear PA, but that would be about the only other option.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to get a radio broadcasted call.
Yep.
So, but that's going to be a little more of a, now we're going above and beyond your bare essentials.
Correct. And again, extras that go with it, pit pass.
Yep.
Most short tracks, and I think I haven't run to a short track where this has been an issue yet. Pits are open to everybody after the races.
Yep.
So if you want to spend the money for the pit pass, but you still want to go in afterwards, going after the races, usually the drivers have got bowls of candy out or autographs or even willing to take pictures. A lot of them are there to be there for your experience.
Absolutely.
And I think we can attest to that, especially when we were at Cedar Lake last year.
Christ, they weren't even on track yet, and the guys were out signing autographs and flinging hero cards and doing all that cool stuff.
Yep.
Before we get into the next topic, sorry guys, I gotta take a bathroom break. Right back.
Jesus.
Hey, so that brings up a good point though. Do a little bit of scouting.
As much as this isn't the ideal scenario, it does lead into kind of, and we'll mention this while he's doing what he does. But the next topic is going to be about where do you sit? And we've got a couple different track lengths we can kind of map and discuss. And again, this is us and where we enjoy sitting, and it can depend on the facility. It can depend on where the good seats are located in terms of bleachers or chair space and things like that. So,
and for myself, and you obviously, Kellen, you've been to a few tracks a handful of times yourself, but I've got years under my belt. I've seen sceneries or spots at other places, and I have my one spot that I go to every single time I'm at that certain track.
i.e. the Dells.
Kakana, I usually sit in the same spot.
Yep.
Madison, I always sit in the same spot. I mean, it's just you find that one spot that works. It's just you go with it.
Yeah. So we kind of tipped them off on our next topic here as you were going to the bathroom, and that's a conversation of where do you sit? Well, it can depend on how big the track is. That's, when you look at some of the tracks, so you look at your bull rings, maybe there isn't a bad seat in the house.
Just depends on if you want to be close to the action or if you want to be able to, not blow your ears out by sitting in the front row, or again, maybe the seats are a little bit better here versus here type of thing.
And that honestly, like some of those places can just come down to preference.
The Dells.
Yep.
Dells is a perfect example. It's not a bad seat in the house. You can see the entire track from wherever you're sitting. Where if you're sitting on the front stretch, maybe it's a little more flat, so you're having to look over people. Where we're at in turn 1 and 2, it's steel bleachers higher up, but I can see everything. I don't have to worry about people.
Yep.
I'd say the smaller the track is, the better there is no bad seat in the house.
Yep.
I mean, I'd say Cedar Lake, we weren't on the fence, but we were probably, there's that lower portion that was probably what, 10 rows?
Say a section off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we were a section off and right on the back stretch, and that when we go back there, same spot.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. You can see the 1 and 2 coming right at you. You can watch them go 3 and 4. You can see the front stretch. But I would say the bigger the track, the less on the fence you want to be. But
And
that's your call.
No,
right, and that kind of leads into, you know, we kind of had 3 kind of categories here. We had bull rings a half mile, and then someplace like the Milwaukee Mile where you have a bigger 1 mile. Like Madison, that kind of that middle start finish line, 3/4 of the way up on an aisle, can be pretty much money spot. But if you want to sit in the corners, you can sit in the corners. There's plenty of spots where you can see different action where
yep.
getting into one, you might get to see somebody use a fender to get into one to get a position, and that might be where the action is, you know. So
Racing lines too. Like I noticed that sitting in 1 and 2 at the Dells. It's you kind of see the racing line coming in and how I really see how the guys are using the corner and the curves as well.
absolutely.
And especially when you get to some of the bigger tracks like the half miles or miles, you start having to worry about haulers in the infield
Mhm.
and having to look over those as well. You don't have that issue at Madison, but you might have that issue at Marshfield, or you might have that issue at Kakana. Then you got to worry about that as well.
Yeah. So that's just from there. It's picking the spot that you feel the most comfortable with, or it could be proximity to a bathroom.
Yep.
That kind of leads into what we were just talking about. You know, it's how often you can have to go and how far do I want to walk is what it comes down to.
Yep. Another thing too, and again, a lot of tracks have this. I know the Dells has it, Madison has it, I think Kakana has it. Some of them have family sections as well, where it's
Yep.
no alcohol, no smoking as well. If you're bringing the kiddos along, that might be a section you're probably looking for.
Mhm.
Keep an eye out for that as well.
Yep.
I will say there's nothing better than just sitting in the bleachers and all of a sudden somebody right in front of you lights up the old cigarette. It's like, wow.
You know, and I grew up to that at Plover. I grew up to that in Plover as an 8-year-old kid sitting in my lawn chair, and 2 rows in front of me, 2 of them
It's
would
like
light
shit.
up.
I feel like I'm smoking.
You got that right.
I mean, for the most part, tracks have kind of designated areas for that now. It's
Yeah.
less frequent now, where they kind of make you.
Well, it's state law, especially in Wisconsin now, that you have to be out of the grandstands to
Yeah.
smoke even.
So,
But
Another
no, I
one,
would say that bathrooms, for us, like when we went to Cedar Lake and you're having a few adult beverages, myself, I have to go to the bathroom about every 20 minutes. So another thing to think about, get yourself a spot on the aisle. You don't want to be sitting with 20 people on each side of you and having to get up every 20 minutes to go to the bathroom. So if that is you, aisle spot. And then also like
concessions.
just a fair warning, on the bathrooms. Racetrack bathrooms are not always the most cleanly places. So do what you will with that. There's your warning. And then yeah, let's get to concessions.
So Dells, again, I bring it up because it's a good example. I sit over in turns 1 and 2, but the main concession stands on the front stretch. So I do have to do a little bit of walk to get there, but I sacrifice the walk for the seat that I'm in.
yeah. Yeah.
So
But let's dig into this concession stand menu.
well,
Let's
one more thing I want to touch on before concession stands. If you're bringing a group of people or meeting anybody, that's going to be the other part of it.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
So, but
And
yes, let's
as you pick your seat, don't be alarmed if you walk in and there are blankets down ready.
yes.
You have to remember that a lot of these places, when you walk in and you buy a pit pass, they will let you into the grandstands. That pit pass will let you into the grandstands prior to general admission opening.
Yep.
So like when we go on Saturday, I'm going early because I got somebody going with me. We're planning to be there at 8:30 and gates don't open until 11. I'm just gonna go in. I'm
Yep.
just gonna walk the pits, but I'm also gonna go put my blanket down in our spot that we always sit.
Yep.
So I mean, again, be respectful that if somebody has a blanket down, don't move it.
Correct.
Respect that that's there, and they may even be in working on a car. So just being respectful of what may be there. So don't be alarmed if you see that when you walk
Yep,
in.
absolutely. But no,
All right.
let's touch on the food now.
Yes.
Racetrack food is some of the
don't get
best
me
in the
wrong,
business.
what's that?
Racetrack food is some of the best in the business.
Correct. But it could also we'll touch on that. So what are some go-tos? What are some of your guys is like, all right, no matter where I'm going, this is gonna be a safe bet. This is what I'm getting.
Cheese curds.
Cheeseburger.
Yeah, fries,
you can't screw those things up.
chicken tenders.
Correct.
Yep.
Another one. A good old bucket of salty and buttery popcorn.
Yes.
Yep.
If I find one that's got a lot of salt on, not a lot, but a good amount of salt, oh man. I was always a fan of Golden Sands for the longest time. Golden Sands popcorn just hit the spot.
Another sleeper, pretzels. Those big
Yes.
warm pretzels. Ooh.
Little nacho cheese.
Yep.
Yeah.
One thing that Kakana does is they actually have lots of matzo pizza. Or not lots of matzo. Yeah, lots of matzo pizza.
Yeah, it's lots of matzo. Yeah.
Yep. So that one's one that I always dive into whenever I get over there.
Yep. I think they also do you have what else? They got deep fried donuts or something there too.
I avoid those. That's on my avoid list over there.
Okay. Well, let's kind of get into this too because I think it's deep fried donuts on their weekly shows up on the grandstand and be on going into one up on the end there. There's a trailer up there.
Yep.
And it's either donuts or deep fried Oreos or kind of like that sugary deep fried
They're
stuff.
good. Don't get me wrong. It's very good, but it does not work well with me.
Got it.
All right.
So
No,
I'm not deterring anybody from it. It's just personal preference.
correct. I hear you.
Speaking of, like, they also have like I think they have a pulled pork sandwich there as well, where you see the guy grilling it. I know Wassa, they have a pork chop on a stick. That's always a fan favorite there. So some tracks have their specialty items as well that you can keep an eye out for, but the Dells, they have the Mexican food truck there.
Yep.
I haven't ventured over to that one yet, just because I stick with my go-tos, but that's
true.
Yep, but that's always a good option for others.
Okay.
There are some stuff that maybe you're on the avoid list for certain reasons. Again, mine would probably be the fried donuts, just because of it doesn't work well with me.
Let's just jump right into it. Any sort of nachos, walking tacos, any sort of stuff like that.
Anything spicy is what it comes down.
We talked about the bathrooms a little bit. Some are good, some maybe not so much. You got to be worried about using the bathrooms at the not so much ones, and maybe what you got to eat.
And I will say, if you ever go to Cedar Lake, fantastic racing, bathrooms 1 out of 10. The trough and then the flooded floors, it's just not great. And I can't imagine standing there having to go, my stomach is rolling and I gotta get to a toilet. That is
There goes our sponsorship from Cedar Lake.
Yeah. Well, fantastic racing, fantastic food, 12 out of 10 experience. But I'm just saying, for bathroom wise, don't.
Here's another one I'll give you a little hint on. Last when I went to the Dells for would have been
Was
the
it the
gym
Halloween?
No, I think it was it was the Halloween. I had a little headache that day. I had a little headache from an adventure the night before and
Activities.
correct. clean bathrooms. The bathrooms are clean. Everything was good. The only
Yep.
concern I had was that the stall doors were just a wee bit short. So when you stood up, you were eye level with the stall door, and you're like, this ain't right. So
See,
somebody
and
taller
that's
than about 6 foot can kind of just like, hey, what's up?
see, that's why I always go for the porta johns.
Fair enough. You know,
I always go for the
No
porta john.
shot.
Yep. Nope. Hey, there ain't no such thing as pride when you're using one of those.
I mean,
Anyways,
that's one strategy.
another food to avoid hot dogs.
Probably one again, it's one of those that some tracks are good, some tracks are not, but the hot dog.
You got to think like for us Quick Trip, you're always going to check out and they got the old roller dogs. Similar situation at racetracks. You don't know how long the dog's been rolling there. You don't know when it was made. You don't know it. Some hot dogs are a little bit more spicy. Some are not. A Wenzel Farm sausage hot dog. It's just too many variables.
Yep. Brat, I could go for a good brat though.
Nope.
No?
Same thing.
Oh man.
I mean, they'll grill them, and then they'll throw them same thing on the old roller or the heat lamp.
no.
You got no
I've
idea
not
how
come
long
across
that
a
thing's
bad
been
brat
sitting
yet.
there. What?
I've not come across a bad brat yet.
Watch
Kel is just losing it here.
watch you have a bad brat this weekend.
You're right. Yikes.
But no, I mean, those are some of the things. I mean, you can by no means are we like saying absolutely don't, because again,
If that's
some
your
of them are
pride
good.
joy, go for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These are probably more personal preferences, but this is just everybody's got a story.
Somebody may have had a bad experience at one point or another.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So
I gotta
no,
get-
definitely don't be afraid to go to the concession stand and enjoy the local delicacy of the racetrack.
Yeah.
You've just been forewarned.
Yeah. And and honestly, it's the food is good. It really is
Yep.
good. It just
Yep.
it comes down to what you know your digestive system is good to handle. Like that's
It's your typical game day local high school concession stand type of deal.
I just Googled, by the way, another one, Cedar Lake, concession stand, another absolute no-go off the list. Do not do it. Chili.
Oh man. See, but that could
Way
be
too many
good in some
variables.
instances.
Way too many variables in there.
starts with the beans.
Yep.
If there's one thing that could always come in salad though, is the ice cold beverages.
And
Nope.
the chili, and then the same meat that was cooked 2 weeks ago that's used in the walking tacos. Yeah. I'll steer clear of that.
But no, the beverages ice cold.
Yeah.
Guarantee on a hot summer day, you're gonna get if you're looking for a cold snack, it's gonna be cold.
So that actually brings up a good point though. Some tracks allow carry-ins. So you might have to do a little bit of research, but some tracks do allow carry-ins. It varies
Right.
from track to track, but
Yeah.
keep an eye out for that as well. Cedar Lake, you can bring carry-in as long as it's non-alcoholic or glass. So
Yeah.
you could always keep an eye out for that as well. You can sometimes, if you play your cards right, you can sneak one in your backpack if you're carrying something in, as long as you cover it up pretty nicely.
Yeah. But go support your tracks.
Go support your tracks. Absolutely. So, God, I mean, I think we hit everything as far as racetracks go. Oh,
Look,
most racetracks are not going to be paved parking lots. So,
Correct. Yep. Walk some durable walking shoes. Don't go in there in your high heels.
yes. Again, you're not there to impress.
Yep.
They're
You're
enjoying the night.
Yep.
no, and I would say, just putting a cap on this conversation again, these are all personal preferences and kind of experiences. But hey, there's only one way to find out for yourself, and
Go to
that's
the
to get to the
racetrack.
racetrack,
Absolutely.
Continue to sit at different spots, continue to do different things, go in the pits before, after the race, get a pit pass. These are all our personal preferences based on our experiences. By all means, get to the racetrack and, who knows? Go for a roller dog and some nachos and see what happens.
But no, enjoy the experience. It's
Yeah.
enjoy the race, and then again, especially going down the pits. Go and especially if you're bringing the kids with you, go down to the pits, have them meet the drivers. It's going to be one of the greatest things you're ever going to do for the kids. They're just going to enjoy themselves.
Absolutely.
So, any other topics you want to discuss here with Racetrack's do's and don'ts before we hit on some race previews here?
No, if you've never been to a race and you don't know what to expect, if you listen to the last 20 minutes, you're going to be in the gate. You're going to know what to expect, and you're set up for success.
Yep.
That's all it comes down to.
Absolutely.
So if you don't know anything else, but you said you listened to the last 20 minutes of this and you took 3 things away from it, you're in the green. You're in the green already. Absolutely.
And if you see any of us at the racetrack, say hi.
Yep, absolutely. For sure.
So, all right, let's touch on some race previews here because there's a lot of race this weekend actually. So let's start with we're only going to cover a handful of them. So let's start with the Hunt Front Dirt Series. They're kind of a little bit of stretch here with a few races in a row. Looks like they got a 2-day show here. Who wants to touch on that one quick?
I believe that's
I'll rip. Go ahead.
I guess Gasman's hopping in here. Hunt Front Super Dirt Series. Obviously, they put together a unique little regional series. A lot of good cars. A lot of big names chasing the series standings and points. But April 12th and 13th, All Tech had to figure one of the Hunt the Front's favorite tracks at All Tech. Had to figure that was going to be on the series there. 5K and 15K features to win. Stay tuned this week, and we'll catch you in the preview, and not in the Lucas Oil Heartbeat Hot Sauce pit, but catch me in the dirt pit.
There we go.
Staying on the dirt. Doesn't say just staying on the dirt here. High limit sprint cars. They got 3 days of racing, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Texarkana 67 Speedway. Saturday is Texas Motor Speedway, Dirt Track Edition. And then they got the Sunday at RPM. All of those features, 12,000 to win each night.
Yeah, I want to add another one on there. They also raced the following Tuesday at Red Dirt as well for one of their midweek races. Which we'll probably talk about that a little bit more next week as well. Obviously, we also got Cup racing this weekend. NASCAR is down in Texas in the Lone Star State again this year at the Texas Motor Speedway. William Byron was a 2023 winner of this race. The only race was the playoff race last year, we should make note of. So to switch it up on the schedule a little bit, we also have I just want to make sure I get this right here. We also got the trucks down there this weekend. We're going to have the Xfinity down there this weekend. And again, with them being with high limit, may see some crossover with some guys running high limit this weekend as well. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, we got pretty much what's our biggest feature of the race of the weekend this coming weekend. The Icebreaker at Dells Raceway Park. First asphalt race of the season up here, and we're obviously super excited for that. Nearly 100 cars are entered in. I think actually it's over 100 cars now between the super late models, the 602 modifieds, and the Midwest trucks are going to be there this weekend.
Yeah, you got 100 cars, Alive for 5 season opener for Alive for 5 series as well. You got the likes of Johnson, Beal, Kaler, Summers, Cody King, new Hot Shoe Supers, Fenhouse, Jeff Storm, Michael Bilderback, Richie Bickle couldn't keep him out of a race car.
Nope.
Riley Stenjam, Ryan Farrell, Jordan DeVoy, Ty Fredrickson, Dalton Zier, John DeAngelis, Heinrich Reichenberger. I mean, that's
you have a winner in that list.
Correct.
Somewhere.
Correct. So badass group of 37 super late models on the list thus far.
Yeah, and if you move over the trucks, they got a good field of 30 trucks enter there. Reichenberger's pulling double duty. Bryce Miller, Chester Ace, Kevin Kniese, James Swan, who actually raced at Bristol this past weekend.
Yep.
Jeff Holtz, Eugene Gregorich, always good. Brad Mueller, Derek Dewar, Grant Griesbach. And again, it's just the list goes on there. And then you got 602s as well, where they have 26 cars. Always puts on some pretty decent as well, and is a really bit mainstay of the Dells Raceway Parks. So weather's looking fantastic this weekend. Myself and Kellen will be there this weekend. We're
Absolutely.
excited.
Yeah, fired up to get back to the track. Finally.
Yeah.
Couple other races just to make a note of for the weekend. So, you've got we're all late models. Farmer City, they got 2 nights of race in there for the Illini. That was canceled a year ago. World Outlaw Sprint Cars, Federated Auto Parts, I-55 for the I-55 Sprint Car Showdown. NASCAR trucks are at Texas. The Polarized National Midgets are at Farmer City as well. Cars Tour late model stock heads to New River All American Speedway. When you look down there, USAC, Amsoil Sprint Cars, Lawrenceburg Speedway on the 13th. Southern Super Series gets fired up at Montgomery Motor Speedway. Past super late models at New Hampshire. I mean, if you want racing, you got racing anywhere you think you can. Well, bam, dirt late models, Shawano Speedway, for the
That's up in here as
Lumberyard
well.
Bar and Grill Spring Thaw. You got racing, you want racing. Dirt, asphalt, late models, midgets. You
Sprint
want it, you got it.
cars, super lates.
Yep.
We're getting into the season.
Yep, you want it, you got it.
So, let's touch back on the cup side of things. Let's do a quick fantasy recap of things. Yeah, boy had a great weekend. Ended up winning the weekend, but didn't gain a lot of ground though, because Kellen had a good weekend. Dietz though had a anchor,
Yep, boat anchor.
an anchor of a weekend.
Yep.
And then Cam again, not a boat anchor type of weekend, but just not a great weekend either.
No, yeah, was talking last night to you guys, just a Sam Mayer like year right now. Just can't get anything to go our way. When the lineup hits, the pick'ems miss. When the pick'ems hit, the lineup misses. So struggling to string it all together. But we're only 200 points out of the lead here, and as you can see, you guys gained 50 on me this week. So things can swing just like that. You can put together a few 50-point wins in a couple weeks in a row, and again, we're early, 8 of 36. We got plenty of time here to turn this ship around.
So let's do a quick rundown of the leaderboard. We got Kellen atop the standings, myself in second. Dietz is in third. Cam, you're in fourth. Gasman's Girl is in fifth. Sophie's Picks is in sixth. I believe they flip-flopped this week, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And then Kurt Busch Stan is down in seventh place right now. Cam, if it does mean anything, you are still in the lead when it comes to race picks. In the point standings there, you're currently up by, if I do my math right, 14 points here. Or no, sorry, 16 points. You're up by 16 points. So you got some excuse me, lead there. And you also get first pick this weekend for the race at Texas. So, because we've done all but probably a minute's worth of research when it comes to our race picks, who do you got?
Not what you guys would probably say a heavy favorite to win this weekend, but I'm going to go with the Ally 48. I'm going to go with Alex Bowman.
Wow.
Interesting.
It's been stringing together a couple good runs. Hendrick's obviously fast. He's won at 1.5 miles before. Yeah. He'll get her done this weekend.
You know what? I think I'm going to kind of ride that train a little bit. I'm going to go with a guy that is on a little bit of a good streak right now. Had a good race last weekend. Ran really good here last year. Almost won it here last year. I'm going to go with Bubba Wallace.
All right. Yeah, and you guys left me the winner from last year, so I'll just go ahead and take him again, William Byron. The dude can't miss this year.
Looking to go 2 in a row.
Looking to go 2 in a row to add number 5 to the tally already.
4.
Or 4.
4.
4. Yep. Yeah. He's got the hot shoe. Want to ride
Yep.
it.
Fair enough. So that's our race picks for this weekend. Again, a lot of great racing coming up this weekend. I know again we're gonna be excited for boots on the ground over at Dell's as well. If you got the streaming services, hit them up. There's no shortage of it this weekend. Nope, you could have 5 screens going. You're probably gonna miss a race yet still. So no, another great episode. Talked about some racing do's and don'ts. Talked about Martinsville a little bit as well. Got some race previews in, and obviously we're looking forward to Texas this weekend as well. So another great episode. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Obviously, like, comment, subscribe, give us your race picks, hit the bell as well. Make sure you got that bell hit so you know when videos are coming out. Check out all of our other socials as well. Comment on anything. Love to chat with you. If you see you at the racetrack, say hi to us. Otherwise, we'll see you next week on Tuesday Track Talk. So we'll see you then.